Greetings, fellow crafters. I'm dear Michael, and I bring you the Walls of Kelvin. These wall pieces, they took me about 2 hours on average to make. Some of them took a lot less, and some of them took more, because they were kind of tricky to make. They consist of 6 separate pieces of expanded polystyrene. This part here is the main part, and it was some packing polystyrene that I had lying around. Then I added another piece for the battlement and a small tiny piece just below the battlement, because I I wanted to make this battlement go down a little bit. And then I added this piece down here, so that I wouldn't have this big flat flat wall surface. And then I finally added 2 buttresses to give it a little bit more interesting appearance. The tricky part is that I wanted it to be 10 centimeters tall exactly. In order to do that, I had to cut off, saw off the top part and the bottom part of this main piece, and it's very hard to saw that precise. So I ended up sawing most of it off, and then I would use sandpaper to sand it down to the exact size. Unfortunately, with 2 of the pieces, I sanded it too much down, and then I had to add a thin layer of polystyrene on top of it again, and then sand it down. It was a real mess. The bottom part has also been cut off with a hacksaw, and when I glued this onto this paperboard for base, it was really hard to make it stand to give the right height. It would either lean that way or the other way. But I tried to make them as even as possible. The way I did this was that I added these 2 supporting pillars on this side, and they are made out of paperboard that I just glued together, and I added a little color around the bottom and the top. And the reason why I added it was to hide that I actually added several pieces of paperboard on top of each of the columns. So because I knew this paperboard was 1/2 millimeters thick, so I could control how high, how much the column should push the polystyrene upwards, and that way I could sort of level it all up off. But it was it was kind of hard work to do that. The top has had some little texture. I added these little tiles that I just glued on just to give some texture, but you don't have to. The base is flocked with your average DM Scotty construction sand, except that I do that in a slightly different way. First, I paint the whole base with some ordinary white glue, and then I add first some very coarse sand, and then I knock on it so that the loose part will drip off, and then I add some less coarse, fine, coarse sand, and then finally some really fine sand. I find that it gives a more even distribution of the sand grains. It's more work, but yeah. So that's how I add the flock to the base. This gate was constructed in much the same way as the ordinary wall pieces, except that it is made out of 14 different pieces of expanded polystyrene. There are 3 main pieces, one left piece, one right piece, and then a center piece. Luckily, these pieces all had exactly the right height, so I didn't have to cut anything off those. I did have to cut some end of it this way, but I didn't have to make any manipulations of the height, so that was a lot easier to make than the walls. Then I added 2 pieces here to form the main entrance here, and another 2 pieces here to act as base for the banners. 2 pieces here to break up the walls, just like on the ordinary castle wall. And finally, the battlement consists of 5 pieces of polystyrene, 1 front, 1 left, 1 right, and 2 small pieces on the sides. The flocking on the base is made the same way as on the ordinary wall pieces. And then I just added some smaller tiles here to simulate a cobblestone road leading through the gate. You can see the back that I just used some ordinary packaging polystyrene, and I didn't cut off these sort of buttresses and struts here, because it had to be done fast. Finally, these corner pieces here, they were made out of a one large piece of expanded polystyrene, and then your ordinary pieces here for battlement and buttresses and a little small piece here. So they line up with the ordinary castle wall. I should probably say something like push the like button, or subscribe, or vote for me, or nah. They already know that. Thank you for watching this video.